Hey everyone, 23rd of November here, and last week one of my favorite music groups released their 6th album. But this is not an ordinary group. This is 1st of October. If you don't know who 1st of October is, I made an entire short about them a year ago.
I put my mortgage in my cat's name.
But if somehow you have the opposite of brain rot, I'll go into further detail right now. 1st of October is a one-day-a-year band where they only meet as a band on the 1st of October. On this one day, they write and record an entire 10-track album from scratch. No saving ideas over the year. It's all done on the spot in one 10 to 12 hour studio session. The band is a duo of music YouTubers. One of them is Andrew Huang, who does those 4 producers, 1 sample videos, and also that Pink Fluffy Unicorn song from 14 years ago. Ouch. And the other is Rob Scallon, who does those banjo covers of metal songs and some other comedy-centered music stuff. We do not talk about that. Rob uploads the behind-the-scenes videos, and Andrew uploads the music videos, which admittedly are just footage from the studio, but they are set to the album. All of their albums have also been engineered and mixed by one Rob Rusha. Yes, 2 Robs. Very haha. Then the album gets mixed, the video gets edited, and they both come out a few weeks after the first. So now that I've thoroughly drilled the concept into your cranium, I'm going to discuss every year of 1st of October up to this point, those being 2018 to 2024. Unlike the videos I did about Metallica and Queen's albums, I will discuss the
YouTube videos
alongside these albums because I think they are truly part of the whole package. Although just like those other videos, I will not discuss anything other than the 6 1st of October albums. So I shall not be discussing their other YouTube show, Sonic Boom. K-Pasa goes hard though. And one more thing before we begin. I do have years that I prefer over others, but in terms of rating them all on my rating scale, all of the videos are recommends, all of the albums are slightly recommends, and the videos and albums together are all strongly recommends. Sorry to burst that bubble so quickly, but that's just how it is for me personally. Anyways, 10 minutes into me recording this video, let's officially get into talking about each of the years.
I worked 10 hours! All I want is Wingstop!
Their first session happened in a Chicago studio in 2018, and out of it came their first album, 10 Hours. I'm pretty sure they just wanted to do this as a one-off YouTube video just to see how it went. And even as a one-off thing, this is still quite fun. Obviously, this being their first time doing this, they have yet to develop their rhythm for this kind of project yet, and are essentially winging it the entire way. Though later staples of the band do show up first here. The closer possible band names is a cool jam with a funny lyric idea. Don't Go is a nice and sincere, quiet acoustic ballad. And Can't Be Stopped is the first of their rock anthem tracks, although this one does have quite a bit more bites than others do. The whole album has this raw production that I like. I think it's cool and makes the louder, faster songs feel more crunchy. One of my favorites being the track Don't Go to My House, which is this thrashy track with hilarious lyrics about asking before you just go to someone else's house. All the other albums have goofy stuff too, but this one feels like it lets itself have more ridiculous moments. The 37-second opener Woo is real dumb, but I can't really imagine a better way to start off an album like this. And tracks like Two Friends are perfect and beautiful in every way. Though I will say all of these tracks are cool and neat, but I wouldn't say they're as strong of a collection compared to later albums. My least favorite track is the aforementioned closing track, just because the pace of the song makes the joke feel more drawn out. For my favorite track, I'm gonna go with Always. Really like the vibe, the instrumentation, Andrew singing. Very cool song. I'd say, yeah, this is my least favorite of the 1st of October projects, but it is also their first, and it's not even bad, I would say. As far as the behind the scenes video goes, I also like this one. Again, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a one-off thing, and this does work well for me as both the first part in a series and as a one-off thing. Rob and Andrew have great energy together, and seeing them work in such a spontaneous scenario is very fun. Going into it, engineer Rob didn't know that this was the plan, and the moment when they tell him is kind of mean, but also kind of funny. This is the shortest of the behind the scenes videos, which part of that is because they gave themselves 10 hours, but this one is faster paced than later videos, which I don't mind, but I do prefer when they go deeper into the process. And any further complaints I have for the video are kinks that they would resolve later, like the audio. Whenever they are playing music and the video plays the camera audio from the instrument area and not the booth, it sounds terrible. The drums are obnoxiously crowding. So yeah, overall, 2018, decent year, but there are more to come.
Chef.
How can I help you?
Can you make my Lunchables gourmet?
Lunchables gourmet? No, these things aren't even food.
The boys decided to come back in 2019, and out of it we got Gourmet Ravioli. That's the name of the album. They didn't make Gourmet Ravioli, unfortunately. This time they gave themselves 12 hours instead of 10, and they gave themselves more instruments, mostly a variety of keyboards and guitars, which let them make more different kinds of songs. October 1 is their punk Tony Hawk Pro Skater song, and I love it. Amazing energy. Climb That Mountain is a cool, uplifting piano pop song. And of course we have their most popular song, Ravioli. Infectiously catchy song with a great groove, very fun, and also valid since ravioli prices apparently did go up around then. Though somehow, even though they did add an extra 2 hours onto the day, at least with some of the lyrics, there is a sense of being rushed. For this one, they essentially wrote all of the structures in the first 10 hours and then spent the last 2 hours on almost all the lyrics. Sometimes that isn't much of an issue, like with their first Halloween track, 31st of October, where they have a fun improv character dynamic going on. And at worst, we get the song called We Didn't Have Time to Get Lyrics on This One. That's the real name of it, which it very much is what it sounds like, which honestly, in some parts, it is funny to me, and it was also such a good groove. And then there are moments like the opener 1st of October, which I think is decent. I like the lyrics, but musically it feels more skeletal than I remember. I know it sounds like I'm criticizing this album more than the first, but I do think it is overall an improvement over the first. In terms of quality, some of the tracks for me are on par with the first record. I'd say my least favorite track is the acoustic cut Valerie, which I think of that track and Don't Go very similarly. And then there are other tracks that are some of their best, like Ravioli and 31st of October, the latter of which I would say is my favorite track. In terms of the video, I think it is also an improvement. This one is longer, which I like, but then again, the whole session and the whole album is longer, so, you know. Rob and Andrew switching between different instruments and vibes while recording makes it feel more fresh and exciting. And this is the first video where Rob's partner Tamra is on the camera crew, and she is fun when she interacts with the guys. Speaking of cameras, there's actually quite a few things in this video that I noticed concerning cameras that I wanted to at least mention. So if you'll excuse me for a second, welcome to the camera corner. Camera corner, hooray. There are actually a few shots that I think are quite cool. There's one shot that I really like with engineer Rob looking at the stuff, and the camera is focused in on him, but then it focuses on the timer in the background. Mwah, mwah, delicious. And then there's another shot where it is zoomed into the timer and then it zooms out in time with the music and Andrew playing bass. Weirdly, the most interesting shots involve the timer, huh? This is the first video where they set up a stationary camera for engineer Rob in the booth, which adds a lot in terms of letting Tamra and other camera people mostly hang out around everywhere else. And one more thing I want to mention, and this is the most nitpickiest of nitpicks. One of the cameras they used had this annoying little red dot in the lens, and it annoyed me. Thank you folks for joining me in the camera corner. Camera corner. So yeah, overall 2019, an improvement over the last one. Also, I didn't think I would talk a lot about cameras, but here we are.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's still blocked. I'm trying. Everything has to be perfect. I know.
Unfortunately, they were not able to return in 2020 because of but they did return in 2021 to produce Gotta Record Everything Good. This time they're in a Canadian studio because Andrew is from Canada, and at this point in Fully vaccinated Americans could enter Canada, but no Canadians could enter the United States. I'm trying to remember, did anything make sense in those few years? Anyways, the music! I talked about how they added more instruments and ventured into different styles in the last video, and in this one, they take that even further. They got a pedal board this time, which was used heavily on the Midwest emo tune Temporary, which is a song that has grown on me quite a bit. Greg is this crazy synth-heavy, like, sports workout song for their character Greg. Granddad's Dinner Party is a funny Primus-esque tune with some banjo to boot. And there are a few alt-metal tracks in the form of the very funny I Am Not Afraid, as well as my favorite track, Bookmobile, a new metal track about Rob's mother. 10 out of 10 late Mother's Day gift. They even got to do an 11th track this time. It's my least favorite track because they only did it in like 3 minutes, but hey, at least they did it. But even with continued adventuring, I do like that they do stick to a few staples. The Halloween track Trick or Treat is fun. I love the speeding up. The anthem ballad Never Say Goodbye is decent. And the opener Miracle is the sentimental acoustic track here, and it is my favorite from them. The only thing I don't like about this one isn't even a problem with the song. It's that it's the opener of the album. I feel like just shifting it in between Temporary and Never Say Goodbye would have been better. But either way, I think this album is more interesting and engaging than the last two. The video also improved again. This is the first year where they started finishing one song and then moving on to the next, and then adding overdubs at the very end, which is a great addition to not only the workflow, but just to add a bit more structure to the videos. Also at the end where they add more to the songs, there's a pretty funny observation in the original lyrics that I of course laughed at because I am an adult. I love how bright and colorful this Canadian studio is. They fixed that audio issue I had. Now both Rob's and Andrew have lav mics with them. And with engineer Rob also recording everything they do on top of their recording their takes for the album, there is almost no reason to use the camera audio unless it is to catch someone or something that isn't mic'd. They involve the camera people more in bits and driving the video, which I like. Although one thing I'm more on the fence about is in the music videos, I'm not big on them having introductory clips from the behind the scenes play before the songs. This is supposed to be the album stream video, and me personally, if it's not on the album, I'm not big on it being in the album stream video. But that's just me personally. Though I did like the clips of the Bookmobile during Bookmobile. So yeah, 2021, big improvement over previous years amid a few small OCD hiccups.
I'm an agent of chaos. Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's beer.
Returning back to Chicago, the duo recorded their fourth release, Chaos. And it is interesting. Stylistically, it seems as if they half tried to go in a certain direction. There are more heavy and dark songs in this track list, including the opener Spooky Time and the face-melting Riff Lord, which as a born and bred metalhead, I appreciate those moments. Although on previous 1st of October albums, there was 1 out of 10 tracks that was a dedicated Halloween song. On this album, there's 4 out of 10. Like, I get it. You want to murder the Monster Mash violently in a dark alley and then replace it. And there are still some fun Halloween songs here, like my favorite track, Jangly Bones. The balalaika and harpsichord on that song are awesome. But if you're going to do it that many times, maybe commit to it being the majority of the record, because without a full theme, we get left field songs like the ultimate hillbilly tune, Left My Pants in Chicago. Which, to be clear, I am not upset that it exists. That song is perfect and beautiful in every way. I'm just talking about consistency. Something that is consistent, there are a notable amount of songs this time that have a lot of instrumental pauses. I just thought that was interesting. It's especially noticeable with Spooky Time going into Headless. The softer songs this time around are interesting to me. Love to Say I Love You is another sweet ballad about Andrew's baby, and I like it, but you also have something like Lonely Angel, which I'm more mixed on. But I wouldn't say it's bad or my least favorite or anything. That would be the track It's Halloween. This might be the only 1st of October track that I just don't care for. It's kind of cool initially, but I'm over it by the end of the first verse, personally. Once again, it sounds like I'm completely dunking on this one. I'm just more mixed on it than previous albums. There is stuff that I think is awesome here, and other stuff that isn't, to me at least. On to the video. Discovery of the century, everyone. They figured out what a click track is. Honestly surprised they haven't used a click until year 4. I like Tamara's boards that say how much time is left. Those are funny. They also added a board of what overdubs they want to do at the end of the day, which is a great addition. I'm not huge on the lighting in this video. Something about where the spotlights are positioned, or maybe even the color of the lights, that make the studio space feel and look more shadowy. Like it feels like it's nighttime the entire day. Which, if the whole session was more Halloween based, then I would be okay with that for the most part. But I'd like to remind everyone that this session is the same session that produced a song called Left My Pants in Chicago. I do think those other Chicago sessions didn't necessarily have better lighting, but I did like the warm feeling of those other sessions. But hey, at least the behind the scenes videos are an hour long now, which I personally enjoy. In this particular hour, we get to see all the technical issues of the day. Mic position issues, stand issues, Rhodes issues, frozen camera / corrupted footage issues. That one was really funny. Pro Tools issues. You could say that this session was chaotic. Although they do intros before the songs again in the album stream, which I'm not big on, but at least it was only half the songs this time. So yeah, overall 2022, some hiccups for me personally, but I still think it's cool.
Just stop hypocriting where I'm hypocriting. Go back to Gotham. It's literally across the street.
And for their 5th day as a band, the duo decided to record their next album, Across the Road, at the famed Abbey Road Studios. You know, the one used by the band with the bug for their name. What was it? The Scorpions? And our once-a-year wonders actually got to use a few instruments and equipment that were used by the Beatles. An organ that was used on the White Album was used on this album's Halloween song Make It Through the Night, which obviously fits perfectly. The kick drum was supposedly only used by the Beatles for a long time. A lot of the microphones are the same too, and even studio-supplied spoons were used on the song It's Good to Be Back. Don't know if the Beatles used those in particular, but we can't say for certain. Going into this one, I expected there to be less intense and more chill songs, but there was also these 4 tracks in the middle of the album that are very personal and emotional. And this might be the best string of tracks the duo has yet to put out. Usually is a great intimate tune about Rob not being able to write songs. Dorian is this grand epic about Andrew being separated from his kid. My favorite track, Pretty Raw, is this beautiful indie folk instrumental track with wonderful piano and guitar lele. And then Magic is this lovely guitar tune about loving the time spent with others. Those 4 are super good on their own and also one after the other. And even outside of those 4, I'd say this album is their most cohesive and styly consistent record yet. Aside from the Halloween track, of course. The aforementioned It's Good to Be Back is a dancey soft rock song. Abbey Road is a fun little country tune with a funny lyric idea. And the opening title track, while I'd say it's my least favorite track, it is still a cool, short, Beatlesy intro statement to the album. Overall, this album feels so warm and inviting, and I'd say it's my favorite of their albums yet. The video! They've always been good at editing between Rob and Andrew when they go off to write different things, but during this session, they separate quite a bit more often than usual. Ironically, very White Album-esque. and the editing between the two is great. This was also helped by the fact that sound-wise, the upstairs lounge in the studio was isolated from the ground floor, which as an editor, I can recognize is very cool. Also in the editing, I liked the extra stuff they added of them hanging out in London during the music videos. I thought that was cool. There's a funny bit early on with the bass that they used. I loved the bit where the camera people are begging Rob and Andrew to not change Pretty Raw, and I love them for that. And the bit of them having only one guitar pick is very funny, but it does beg the question, you go all the way to Abbey Road and you only bring one guitar pick? I don't know if it's this way for anyone else, but to me, this one has kind of a more emotional aspect to it. Obviously, they're in Abbey Road Studios, and I loved when they showed off how cool of a place it is. Almost everyone was very tired and jet lagged the entire time, and it was very noticeable. And also, to say the least, Rob was not doing great mentally during this session, and for me personally, it's great to see him still create good music despite it. So overall, 2023, my favorite session yet. This one feels real special.
Using the jab to break down Tyson. 40 seconds left in the sixth.
Unfortunately, the duo was not able to record on the 1st of October in 2024 because Rob got COVID. Damn you, Corona! But instead of canceling this year, they just pushed the recording session back to October 19th. So technically, this is 19th of October and not 1st of October. But we're going to let that slide in favor of discussing the resulting album, Round 6. This time they went full in on a main theme for the record, that being, if you couldn't tell, video games. I like video games. I partake in the gaming within a video format. And it's not just a lyrical theme. They basically turned a Game Boy and an SNES into instruments by hooking their sound chips up to a keyboard that was used on the majority of tracks here, which I just think is so cool. Let's Fight is a funny fighting game tune with a fun SNES groove. Dungeon Man is a sick Game Boy synth-led song that feels like going through a dungeon. I also appreciate the track's abacab structure and the use of automaton. And my favorite track, the title track, the combination of old school hip hop and old school video games here works so well. There are two sweet ballads here in Infinite Lives and the closer, It's Time to Move On, both of which I like, but with Infinite Lives, having a 4-minute soft song right after 4 1 or 2 minute high energy tracks, it does make this one drag a bit. And we still get our funny nonsense songs, such as I'm a full-grown man and I'm wearing a retainer. And the song Day Old Milk, which marks the return of Greg! Thank goodness we found him after 2 years. I was getting worried that he was being raised in the jungle by gorillas. For a least favorite track, I'm not huge on Final Boss. I can enjoy the verses, but the track as a whole doesn't grab me that much. Plus, the album already has a better Dungeon Man song and a better rap metal song in the Halloween Thanksgiving song Infinite Knives. See what they did there? Infinite Knives. So yeah, newest album is another good one, and I'm glad that they went really in on a theme this time compared to Chaos. The video is still fun too. I do think it is funny that they never bring up that it isn't actually the 1st of October. Just something for the true fans to know. The lighting is slightly different than round 4. In some cases it looks better, and in other parts it looks even more shadowy. Do want to preface that I am not an expert in lighting though, so I might just look like a dumbass right now saying these kinds of things, but I'm just pointing out what I see with my eyes and what I feel with my heart. Again, the video game keyboards are fun, and other crazy instruments used like the whammy caster and the slide whistle are also fun. I watched this one with my grandma who really likes bears, and When you know it, she very much enjoyed the Bear Bells. Tamara making friendship bracelets with the song's titles is super cute. The editing during the music videos is great, especially during Let's Fight. And of course, I can't go without mentioning the best bit in the video, the Greg actor walking into the studio. We love you, Greg. You are loved. So yeah, overall, 2024, this year, another fun and funny year. Hooray! And that concludes the 1st of October, 1st of October discussion. Keep that one in, I don't care. Thank you to Rob and Andrew for continuing to do this very fun project. And I hope the boys come back again next year for another 1st of October record. But for now, I'm gonna go listen to GNX because Kendrick literally dropped that album right as I was finishing up the script for this video. So I hope this is good too. New Kung Fu Kenny